Jay. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. I'm Gary Fife, the communications specialist in radio for Mvskoke Media. Welcome to our program. I'm speaking today with our director, Angel Ellis, who's been on a recent tour across the ocean for a new documentary regarding our battle for freedom of the press at the Mvskoke Nation. Welcome, Angel.
Thanks,
Glad
Gary.
to be home.
Yes, it's very, very, very good to be home.
Okay, now, you were with the crew that took this documentary across the ocean, and it chronicles the battles that our department has had to tell the truth to our own people, freedom of the press. So
yes,
tell us about bad press.
Yeah, bad press has been hitting the festival circuit recently this year. It started in January with Sundance premiere in the United States, and just a few weeks ago, it had its European premiere in Poland, in Warsaw, Poland, and the documentary team invited me to come and speak at the Q&As that were held after each screening, and it was really kind of an eye-opening situation in the fact that what's happening, or what happened in the tribal nation, you know, for the Mvskoke Creek Nation with censorship and freedom of the press has actually become, you know, it's a world issue at this point. There's many peoples out there fighting for their rights, and they're advocating for press freedom, and Poland's one of them, and they exist under a complete state-run media, and the people often feel like they don't get the information they need from their government, and I think that kind of climate really made the festival organizers want to invite this film to premiere there.
I think most Americans take freedom of the press for advantage. I mean, they don't think about it. They pick up their paper, they read essentially the happenings of the day. Same for television news mostly, and of course in my own medium, radio news. And that's not always been the case for Native American people. It's like dealing with a challenge that we've faced for decades.
Right.
It's like we want to spread the news, but there are elements within many of those communities that want to place a limit on it. Now, Bad Press is the title, so tell us about what's the film all about.
Really, the film documents the advocacy for press freedom in the Mvskoke Creek Nation through the perspective of citizens and tribal officials. And I happen to be one of those citizens who cooperated and let them follow me around on camera, and I advocated a little bit for a change in that policy because I kind of experienced firsthand what it was like to be a journalist and try to get information out under, you know, the situation where you don't necessarily have the policy backing you up. And so that film documents that, and of course Rebecca Lansbury Baker is one of the co-directors, and Joe Peeler is the other co-director, and Rebecca Lansbury Baker has a long history with the department. She'd worked here, actually recruited me to work here, and so she just, like, once we had a repeal of our free press, she kind of tells people that she couldn't let that story go untold, and so they brought the cameras and started documenting how it unfolded, having no idea what the end result would be.
Right. Now, many tribes across the nation have publications of some sort. Most of those I've seen are community billboards. I mean, local items, local people, that's fine for what it is. It has an important place.
Sure.
But there are very few that do any investigative work like we would favor. Our training as journalists tells you if there's a story there that needs to be told, then you look into it. you find the truth and the accuracy, and you report that to your audience, right?
Right. And several years back, the Native American Journalists Association conducted the Red Press Initiative. And that was a very large data collecting polling survey that asked the people of Indian nations how reliable they felt their news sources were. And many of them, like you said, often felt that their source of news did a good job of maybe connecting them to community events or program deadlines, but they didn't always give them all the information about their government. When it came to investigative work, many of those citizens felt like they didn't have a source of information. And we were in that boat at one time. And then, fast forward to 2015, and we had a free press law. We were doing investigative news, and then fast forward again, that law gets repealed, and we don't have the ability to go and investigate our own government. And the film Bad Press kind of takes its name from that reason that our council cited that they wanted to repeal press. They said that too much of the information was negative or portrayed the tribe in a negative light. And one of the things that a lot of the audiences are really interested in is why does the government, censor that? And I have to explain to people that as, members of an indigenous tribe, often we're juxtaposed against the values of the outside world, right? We're trying to protect ourselves. We are an emerging democracy, and we're trying to self-govern ourselves. And any information that gets out there that shows a tribe in a negative light is usually used by the colonial government at large to, hurt the Indian people. And so there's a very big sense of a need to protect. But then that also kind of shutters your civic engagement, and it makes citizens feel like they don't have a say-so in their own government. So essentially, our governments are becoming arms of the federal government and controlling us without giving us a fair shake. So when we advocated for free press, what we were really advocating for was self-determination and sovereignty, and strengthening those structures so that we can, as Indian people, stand up in the face of the rest of the world and say, look, here we are, we're governing ourselves, and we're doing our thing, and demand that respect.
Now, the opposition we've had to deal with has come from our own people. And as a tribal society, we have those personal connections, family, blood, friendships, that are tighter, I think, than the general society.
Right.
And as such, we want to make sure that we always put our best foot forward, and that nobody gets shamed out by having a story about them. And that is work to the detriment of what we see as our job, and the challenge and the commitments that we were taking on. And sometimes, it could be a close family member that you have to do a story about that's done something in a corrupt fashion that we have to report on. And that's hard to do. Other times we hear, particularly from people like in a council, is we fund it. We ought to tell the stories that we want to see in there, and you can't do this other stuff.
Right.
And that's the bucks that keeps us going.
Right.
That's the job. That's how we, as staff members, take care of our families and people like that. So that's one of the huge challenges that we've had to overcome, and we've had to convince our citizenship that they would be better served by us doing that complete job.
Yeah, it's really a difficult hurdle, and that's one of the big questions that I was asked on the road when I was traveling, because in communities that are experiencing similar things, they may not necessarily be indigenous communities, but there seems to be this underlying respect for your elders and then advocacy for yourself that makes people want to put out the best possible image to the world. And they asked me, how do you overcome that? And one of the things that I really think has to be the center of any kind of advocacy when it comes to journalism is it has to be people driven. It has to come from the most, grassroots efforts. When when our department was going out and pursuing those stories, we were often getting those stories as tips from the citizens. So we're working for them. It's that concept of the news should work for you. And if you have questions about this entity, this government, then that news organization needs to be going out and helping you, the citizen, answer those questions so that you can be properly engaged in the civic responsibilities like voting and things like that. I just happen to come from a perspective where if we address it head on, we're really solving the problem. And if we sweep it under the rug, we're just leaving that problem for the next generation to try to figure out. And at one point, our department was just so critically, wounded from this policy that we had one reporter on staff. We were, barely getting the news out. And so this film kind of demonstrates that whole progression. And I think that that's why it's become such a valuable blueprint for other communities to really rally around local news, because we know as Indigenous people how powerful storytelling is. It's really the only way we've survived, is that we've had the freedom to tell our stories and hand those down. If we take those stories out of the archives, the world at large forgets about us. They leave us out of the history books. We live as ghosts in their memories. So the only way we combat that image is to tell the stories and to provide the context. And so that's been a major component of kind of my motivation to keep working on that kind of a topic.
Well, you mentioned earlier that we did have a piece of legislation that was approved that granted a freedom of the press situation.
Right.
That seemingly at the time allowed us to do what we thought was right. And right after that, we got another counter resolution that just wiped it out, just completely nullified it.
Right.
And that was quite a struggle. Now, you mentioned, the toils and the fears that we as staff members had. And I do remember a group of us sitting around in our lobby wondering whether or not we were going to be arrested or fired, or, forcefully escorted out of our offices. And that, as you say, took its toll on us. And I think a lot of us were kind of thinking, is it worth it?
Yeah, it's a really hard spot to be in. I grew up in a home where my grandma followed me around with a camera, and she took pictures of me and she put me into the family album. And that family album was like the record, right? The record of the family, and that somebody cared enough about me to preserve me in the overall, story of my family. That's an act of love. And so it's very difficult to be, a journalist trying to just tell these stories in a detached way, but you really love your people and you really want them to be elevated in the collective consciousness of the world. And so what you're really doing is passionately pursuing, and advocating for their existence in the future. And I think that the stories keep us alive. And so we have to keep the storytelling alive. And we have to keep journalism going. Every community that's lost a newspaper, they get swallowed up in the overall, story of something else, whether it's the county or the state. Suddenly their individual needs are not as important as the larger community. And so what we're really advocating for when we advocate for journalism, in particular in a tribal setting, is we're advocating for that storytelling to be protected, and we're advocating for those miswritten histories to be re-recorded in a way that heals and helps us project to the rest of the world that we're still here, we're still strong, viable communities.
Well, a part of that strength would have to come from the fact that we care so much to take care of our community.
Yeah.
Now, in the selection of the materials we put out, sometimes there are stories that are not very flattering.
Right.
We've done some pieces on corruption, misdeeds by politicians, other citizens who got caught doing things they shouldn't be doing. And it's not something we go looking for. It's not like we're out headhunting.
Right.
It may appear to some people, but I think they have a limited view of what our job really is. And what we've tried to do is, if we have to tell those stories, is get them as accurately as possible.
Right.
Which means they have to be backed up by facts.
For sure.
I think the word of mouth is interesting. They perhaps get a tip, but you have to verify.
Yeah, we get tips all the time that we can't actually find documentation on, and they don't actually come out. And so a lot of those things that people are fearful about, people become fearful that, oh, so-and-so is just mad at me and they're going to say something and they'll write a news story about it. But our process is actually really intensive, and I think that we can combat that fear by being ultra transparent. We can report on our process just as much as we report the facts. We let people know that we went and requested documents from a court. We let them know when we received them. We show them the file stamp. We show them that these things are official. And that way they understand that this isn't just some, rumor going around and it's actual news. And those processes do a lot to lend credibility and trust to the news organization. And it's one of the things that I think in the overall journalism world that we're lacking in a national media. We don't have that hyper transparent process. You don't know who the experts are. You don't know where their documents come from. The good thing about our small community journalism is that we live and work in this community too. We're ultra accountable. You'll see us at the grocery store, and we definitely do here when people do or do not like our stories. We live side by side with the people we serve, and that's just the highest level of transparency you can find.
So many times those are kinfolk.
Yeah.
Their own families that are in those situations now. You mentioned process there, and I think one important part of that process that most people don't hear about is those ideas get kicked around in an editorial meeting, a session every week, where we go over the news items that are kicking our way, or somebody knows of, or you expect to happen, and those get discussed in depth, and the good and the bad, like where the weakness is, and things like that. So when we have a story assigned, we try and kind of back up that reporter with as much information and knowledge as possible on the subject.
Yeah, before a story ever is printed on our website or in our newspaper or even aired on a publication like a YouTube channel or even the radio show, it's gone through multiple rounds of peer review. And I can tell you that some of the most disappointing days were when I was pursuing a story and I reached a point and my peers like you or maybe Jared would say, hey, but what about this? And then I found out that I didn't have all the holes plugged, and so I couldn't continue on it. And yeah, it's just lost work, but it's better to just stop than to put something out that's incomplete or not factually correct. Or if you do have a mistake, you have to be ultra transparent about those processes too. You have to make the correction. The record has to be there and visible for everyone to see.
One of the things that we stress is that we never go after somebody because we don't like them. Sometimes that may be the case, but without the facts to back it up, then we can't do the piece. I mean, that would be lying to our people, and we would be worse at it because we're supposed to be the voice of truth.
Right. I'm sure the aunties would have something to say about that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we've all been in that situation. I've got kinfolk that have been chewing my tail from time to time. One of the things I think people need to understand is we don't go after, we don't exert revenge, and doing those pieces that may reflect, badly back on the people is a huge responsibility, and one that we never take lightly. We know what the consequences are, and so we don't want to verify the rumors and the bad mouthing that goes on, saying, "Oh well, he's so-and-so's niece, or that's his uncle, and that's why he's doing this." No, we'll never hand anybody that kind of ammunition, so to speak.
I think that when having watched the film Bad Press, you see that there's a certain level of humor, there's a certain level of, just real authentic people displayed in the film. But what you also see is just how heavily these topics weigh on us as individuals. because we know the impact. We know that if there's something that doesn't paint the tribe in a great light, that it could be used by the state governor who hates the tribes, or it could be used by the federal government who would love to, just pull out certain resources and things like that. We understand the magnitude of the information, but we also know that people have rights. Our citizens depend on us. And if we don't do it for them, who will? Because the press is supposed to be leveraged in such a way as to serve the people. And once the Carter Center came and, observed our elections, a free and independent press was part of the report that they delivered to our tribe and said, a free and independent press supports democracy. And then we seen that our citizens were able to vote on the decision, and overwhelmingly 76.25% of them said that we want a free and independent press. And that's a lot of bosses if you think about it. All of those voters are really our boss, and so we serve them very meticulously and with enthusiasm, because really they're the ones that make it all happen. They bring us the tips and they empower us to do this work.
Right. And that 3-to-1 margin, it speaks for itself. And I think the edition that came out right after that vote expressed our joy.
Yeah.
I mean, our graphics people put out this banner headline that's glorious.
Yeah, beautiful.
And we were able to kind of catch our breath and say, that part of the battle is done.
Yeah, for sure.
Now we have to uphold it and keep those standards going.
And that's something that we don't often think about in journalism. We think that, there's a policy in place, now we can just rest on our laurels. But the reality is that power and authority always wants to control the message in a way that keeps power and authority for themselves. That's the reality of it.
Well, we've got to wrap this up now. In the last minute or so, is there a final thought that people might want to take if they get the chance to see Bad Press?
Bad Press is coming up for the Dead Center Film Festival in Oklahoma City. You absolutely, if you are a citizen of a small town, a tribe, a person who just kind of stays engaged with the world, it's something to watch, because it really shows that there's some national trends going on that absolutely attack your ability to get information correctly. One of the books I'd read, I forget the name now and the author, but it said the Third World War is being waged in information territory.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're really under right now. And so it's really great to see a Mvskoke woman make a film that brings all this to light. And it is absolutely my pleasure to have been a subject of it. And I hope that people will turn out. Just go to, it's Dead Center Film Festival's website. You can get tickets now. And it's going to be screening at the FAM Museum. So.
Oh, great. Well, thank you, Angel Ellis. We appreciate you taking time to talk about your tour and a breath of fresh air that we now enjoy here in Mvskoke Media.
It's definitely a different atmosphere than what I've seen in Poland. Completely state-run media. People were very downtrodden in the shadow of a Soviet, environment. It's scary. And so I'm glad I had that experience, but I'm glad to come home.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thanks.
Let me get your name real quick and your title.
My name is Angela Fish, and I am the Elder Services Director.
Okay, what do we have here today? Is an event especially for those elders?
We're currently having our senior games from ages 55 and over, and just have a variety of different games that we use for each elder to participate in.
Now, give me an idea of what kind of games those are.
We just currently got finished with the free throw event, and currently they're doing the cornhole toss, and we'll probably be having the jacks games in a few minutes, possibly. We'll have a bowling contest with plastic bowl pins and things of that nature.
Why do you do it? I mean, is a special recognition for elders, or just to keep them fit? What's the reason?
Every year during May, we have the Older Americans events, and we recognize our elders throughout our nation as a way to honor them and to pay our respects to them. And this is a way for them to gather and to fellowship and just enjoy each other's company, and an opportunity to compete with one another in the various games.
The games you are putting on here today kind of remind me of some of the stuff I did as a kid. You know, so I suppose I could qualify as a participant, but was that the idea? I don't really see too many things that are, quote, modern, unquote, so like jacks and whatever else.
It's a way to keep our elders active. We want them to be able to utilize their abilities to use their arms and legs and just kind of do some range of motion activities and just dexterity, you know, with like the jacks and picking up the jacks and throwing the ball and catching. So it's just a way of allowing them to further or help them improve with their range of motions and other forms of activities to keep them active.
That was my next question. Is there a physical fitness element here?
Basically, it is. I think it helps them, and plus they're very competitive, and they like to compete with one another, but they're also supportive of one another too.
I noticed that during the cornhole competition, you got some people out there who are exhibiting a lot of competitiveness and enthusiasm for the game. You see that a lot? Does it make you feel better that you're accomplishing your mission?
I believe so. It's always an enjoyable event to watch our elders participate and enjoy themselves and have fun with one another.
And the competitive edge?
Yes, and the competitive edge, because I think that kind of keeps them active and more inclined to want to do more.
Well, I don't see them actually throwing elbows at each other or anything, but some of them seem to really be involved with it.
They are, but they're also supportive of one another too. As you see them accomplish, like with the free throw, they made the baskets, and then you hear them also applauding one another and supportive and cheering each other on.
Now, who is showing up? You gave me an age range earlier, but who's coming out here today?
Ages 55 to 65 is one of the groups, and then the 66 on up. And each group will have an opportunity to compete with one another, and they'll have the scoring system, and I believe they'll have the first, second, and third place for each event. Mm-hmm.
Now, as the competitions roll on, do you have people competing in multiple sports, different things?
They do. They have an option of participating in different sports, and they have a sign-in sheet that when they first come to register, they have that opportunity to sign up in different events. And again, it's broken down into age groups.
What do you get in terms of feedback? Do they come and talk to you about enjoying it, having a good time, working hard to beat somebody else out?
Every year they come back and they'll tell us it was something they really enjoyed, and next year they're going to practice and do better and come back ready to compete.
When I pulled into the parking lot, I noticed a lot of different vans from different parts of Creek Nation here. Do you really draw in a lot of folks from outside of Mulgee?
We do. There's some individuals that come in from different areas within the state. There a lot of people come that are at-large citizens. It's just not only for the citizens that resides in the Mvskoke jurisdiction, but also other communities throughout the state and possibly even out of state.
Okay. Now, you and I were chatting about language classes earlier. Does any of that work itself into what you're doing? Are the Mvskoke names for things like cornhole or jacks? I mean, does that figure in?
I'm not aware of it, but we've strived to implement some of the language throughout the course of the event and try to share the language with the elders.
When you wrap up today and it's all done, what is it that you hope that these participants take with them?
I hope that they enjoy themselves and they feel that they have that sense of belonging and a sense of respect, that we do value our elders, and we want to ensure that they're treated with the utmost respect, and know that we look to them for leadership and guidance, because they are the keepers of our culture, and we want to acknowledge their presence throughout our nation, and know that even here we have the youth services. That's our volunteers to work with our elders, and they're doing a fantastic job too, as well as the diabetes program, and so there's other programs that are participating with us as well. So,
Okay, thank you, Mado.
you're welcome, Mado.
Okay, test 1, 2. What's your name? Where are you from?
Sandy Joe Holby. I'm from Morris, Oklahoma.
What games were you competing in today?
Was free throws, 5 shots, 5 misses.
Philip Harjo.
Billy Hill.
Okay, we're here at the Elder Games here today. What made you come down? Are you guys involved in some of the sports here today?
Yeah, I did. Beanbag toss.
How'd you do?
Won first place.
What?
12 points.
We got a champion here. How about you?
Beanbag and basketball throw. Not so good.
Okay, why are something like these games so important, do you think?
Well, this first time I ever participated in this, and I kind of enjoyed it.
It's the fun that's involved in this. Give all the senior citizens something to do, since working all the time,
Were these games kind of the sort of things you guys did when you were young kids?
It was a lot different. When we was young, we used to throw like mud balls when it rains, throw at each other. It's kind of like that, I hope.
Mud balls, okay. How about
horseshoes back then. It's almost something like that, just something for us to pick up and throw.
Why is it important for the tribe to host these kind of things for the elders?
Well, I guess to get all the elders together in one place to have fun and enjoy their day for today.
It's all fun. The elders got to have fun every once in a while.
Okay, Mado, we'll get out of your way here. Okay, what's your name? Where are you from?
Rachel Sumka from Henrietta.
Okay, what brought you to the Elder Games here today?
I've never been. This is my first time.
Really? What so far has caught your attention?
The beanbag competition. What was that?
Oh, that's it. What do they call it? Cornhole.
Yes.
Okay, did you partake?
No, I came in a little bit too late.
Okay, well, there are other games here going on today. You think you'll be participating in those?
I might. I'm on my lunch break.
Okay, yeah, I'll get out of your way so you can sing humbucks there. Now, why do you think it's important for the tribe to put on events like this for the elder?
Gives them something to do, and they have fun, and I think it's really good to bring them together.
Okay, Mado.
Omogi.
Okay, Rusty Powell from Omogi.
Yes, sir.
What attracts you to the games here today?
Senior citizen, I guess. It's a time to see everybody or who you recognize anyway. It takes us about 10 minutes to recognize each other.
Yeah, we do kind of change as it gets along.
I'm telling you. Yes, sir.
Okay, did you take part in any of the sports here today?
No, I didn't. I just like to enjoy everything out here and watching everybody. And, we're laughing people, Indians, we like to laugh at each other. So you better not mess up out there.
Because you'll be cursed forever then.
Yeah, curse forever.
Why do you think it's important for the tribe to do things like this for the elders?
I think it's a good thing. We're living in the times now. We need each other, especially as Indian people. We need to stick together and have fun,
And these games help you do that?
Yeah, oh yeah. Sometimes I wish I could do that, but last time I shot a basketball, it weighed about 20 pounds, seemed like, and so I quit doing that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll get out of your way, Mado. Appreciate it. Enjoy your lunch there. Excuse me, can I talk to you for a second?
Maybe. About what? Y'all hear him?
I don't know, make up something.
Okay.
What's your name, where you from?
My name is Debbie Bridge, and I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I belong to the Tulsa Creek Indian community.
Oh, yeah, you must know my cousin Betty Prater.
Who? Betty, Yeti, and Leona?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, what brought you to the games here today?
To see all the people and all the events that we're doing, having fun, just getting out, enjoying life.
And lunch, too.
And lunch. Hey, and lunch, yeah.
Did you take part in any of the competitions here today?
Yes, I did. Of course, I've lost. Hey.
Which one?
I did the basketball and I did the cornhole. But it was fun. It was fun.
Why do you think it's important for the tribe to put on events like this for the elders?
It keeps everybody, it's more of an exercise. I mean, even the walk, it's more of an exercise, and everybody just needs to keep moving. You know, if we keep moving and doing things together, then it seems like everybody wants to do it.
Okay, so you get a lot of people out here, see a lot of folks running across old friends and things like that?
Yes, I see a lot of friends today. Okay. A lot of friends today.
When this is over, what do you hope that participants take with them?
I'm hoping that all the people that are here today, that we get to see them next year.
I'll tell you what, I'll get out of your way and let you enjoy lunch.
Okay, thank you.
Talk with you?
I guess.
Oh, okay.
What you want to know?
Well, I'm Gary Five with Mvskoke Media. And what's your name? Where are you from?
Emma Lowe. Emma Lowe from Holdenville.
What is it that brought you out here to these games today?
The people. Because I've been coming up here for a while, for years, and just to see their faces again, you know, it's just once you get to be a friend with them, you're your friend for life, I guess.
Yeah, so speaking of which, sometimes they aren't here, they don't come back.
I know, because I've noticed that too, you know, because some of the ones that used to come, they're all gone, you know. And like the younger ones that are coming up now, you know, you can't compete with them, not when you're 80.
That's why I'm not out there.
It kind of makes it sad.
Did you compete in any of the games?
I did, but I couldn't even do anything. Not from last year. I think I got a ribbon for softball and basketball, but this year I couldn't even get the basketball to the goal. I can tell that I have come down, you know, gotten where I can't do anything, you know. It's sad.
They have other games this afternoon where you might be able to compete, anything like jacks or something?
I'm not going to even try it because I don't even think my hands will cooperate.
Why do you think it's important for the tribe to put on events like this for the elders?
Why is it important? Keep them together. The love. I mean, you've got the love. I mean, you've got the love for the people that you meet. You know, of course, I was worried about one lady that I used to see from here in Okmulgee. I didn't see her, and she's gotten down too. You know. So, but it's just, but it's just real important to keep these elders together. You know, because that's all that's left of us now. You know, because this younger generation, they don't really understand us elders, you know. As long as they got those phones in their hand, heck with what you say, you know. Sometimes you might get an answer when you're talking to them, and sometimes you don't even get an answer from them. So it's kind of sad, you know, when you've got kids that's carries those phones all the time, you know, and you can't really talk to them, you know, and some of the things that they used to tell us a long time ago, you know, you try to explain to them, and they don't listen to you, you know. Nobody listens to you anymore, you know. So I think that's So it's important to keep these elders together, you know, because there's not very many of us left. You know, I've noticed that, you know, because there's too many of us that are already gone, you know. And so I may not even be here next year the way I'm going right now, the way I'm throwing things.
Well, just sharpen up your skills there. Now, when this is all over, what is it that you hope that people take with them?
Well,
in terms of spiritually or emotionally or even physically? What kind of gift do you think you want these folks to take with them?
The love. Keep that love. Keep that love, you know, with you, you know. Because, I mean, that's what I look forward to, you know, every year when we have this, you know. It's the caring that you have for other people in the communities, you know, that you don't never get to see, you know. And up here, when they have games like these, you get to see them, you know. But it's important, I think, to try to keep these elders together, you know. Because I feel like, I don't know, I guess my feelings for people are very strong, you know. Not just the elderlies, you know, the young ones too, you know. I don't never bypass a young one without not smiling at them or something, you know. And even the little ones. My grandma always used to tell me, say, if a little kid talks to you, I don't care how tall that little kid is, you answer them. And I never knew what she was talking about, you know. And I used to think, well, I ain't talk to a little kid, but I know what she was talking about now, you know. It's love, you know, and they are God's children. That's what it was. These little kids, you know. So I know, you know, a lot of things that she tried to tell me when I was growing up, you know, I didn't pay no attention, but I wished I had now, you know. I really wished I had.
Okay, well, I tell you what, I'll let you get on with lunch. Mado, we'll talk to you later.
Mado.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions here. Let me get your name and where you're from first.
Anna Joe 5 from Sapulpa, Oklahoma.
What brought you out to these games here today?
Seniors. We're all seniors. We came to have fun, even though it was raining.
That's what the dome is for. Now, did you participate in any of these games here today?
Yes, sir. We did the, what was it, cornhole? Yeah. And this lady here won third place, our community. There was 3 of us just came because there was so many, it was raining so hard the rest of them backed out.
Yeah, you almost had to swim to get down here. Now, why do you think it's important for the tribe to put on events like this for the elders?
Gives everyone a chance to exercise. We exercise, and then we played the cornhole, and then we're going to do the, what is it we're supposed to do, the next one? The bowling. So, anyway, yeah, we're glad to be here. And we're enjoying it, even our lunch.
Well, heck yeah. I mean, geez, humbucks too. Now, do you think it's really good for the tribe to give seniors this kind of opportunity?
Yes, I do. I think it's important.
They're investing in the seniors.
All right, what's your name? Let me go ahead and interview you.
Edna DeGraffenreed. Yes, and it's important for seniors to get out and have this kind of activity, because a lot of us wouldn't get out much, so this is really good to get the transportation down here that Creek Nation provides and get to talk with some of the people we hadn't seen and visit, so it's a wonderful thing.
Where are you from, Edna?
I'm from Oakhurst, Oklahoma.
Now, we've been asking...
I'm from the Indian community, but I'm from Oakhurst.
Okay, yeah, I know that. Why is it important for the tribe to do this kind of thing for the elders?
Well, like I say, a lot of elders don't get to go as much as they used to, and they tend to sit at home and not do too much. So this brings them out and gives them a chance to visit and have a good sandwich and enjoy life.
Did you participate in any of the games here today?
No, I have a bad knee, so I have to quit doing that or have surgery on it, and I don't want surgery, so...
Well, I think they have things like jacks and other games that don't require a lot of movement. Do you think maybe you'll get into those?
I might do jacks, I might. One year we had a man that won jacks. And it was real neat watching him play. He was a good jacks player.
I haven't done that since I was a kid. Now, when this is all over today, what is it maybe that you hope that the elders take with them? The participants go home and feeling like what? What do you hope that they might know?
Well, I know that the tribe appreciates us old people. And a lot of other people don't, so they care enough to put this on for us and give us a good lunch and everything, and that's what I think it's really, really good.
Okay, okay, we'll let you all get on with it. Humbucks.
Okay.
What's your name? Where are you from?
Mark Batashi from Okmulgee, Oklahoma.
Okay, why is it important for the tribe to put on these kind of games for the elders?
Well, it gives a chance for the elder to get out and mix and mingle and introduce themselves and from different parts of the towns and tribes and states.
Did you participate in any games here today?
Yes, I did.
Which ones?
I did the basketball.
How did you do?
Placed third.
Not bad. See, if they put a seniors team together, they might want to recruit you. Why do you think it's important for the tribe to put on these kind of events for the elders?
Well, like I said, it's good to mix and mingle with different ones, and I know people are shut in sometimes for health elements, and it gives them once in a while to look forward to every year.
And when it's all wrapped up and people are heading home, what do you think, what do you hope that they take with them?
Well, just like I say, communication and being able to see people you ain't seen in a while. Mostly people are sick or funerals or something gives them a chance to, mix with family.
And I was talking to a lady here, said she, comes to a lot of them, but not sure that she'll be able to come to any more in the future. That's because so many of them are not with us anymore. Did you ever think about something like that? Is that kind of fill in the gap here?
Yes, it does. Just like I was repeating, it gives a chance for people to get mix and mingle before, something happens drastic in their families. And it's a summertime event, and we're getting prepared for the festival. And people that participate, there's more boundaries to broaden it out, the scoping.
Okay, well, I tell you what, I'll get out of your way and let you finish lunch here. Mado. Can I talk to you for a second?
Yes, you can.
Okay, Tess. What's your name and where you're from?
I'm from Mary Harjo. My name is Mary Harjo, and I'm from Oklahoma City.
Okay, what is it that drew you here to these games today?
Well, for one thing, to be around my Creek people, because I was in boarding school all my life, and I just love it when I can be around my people and know that, we have that camaraderie and fellowship, and then to have fun, just root everybody on because of the senior games.
Did you participate in any of the games here today?
Yes, I did. The beanbag throw, but this one right here, she won the tournament. Nancy Barnett.
Okay, so you going to give her a hard time for that?
Oh, no, I rooted her on. Hey, she's trying to act shy right now.
I get a lot of that.
I know.
Why do you think it's important for the tribe to put on these kind of events for the elders?
Well, I was sharing with the lady that drove us down here, and I said sometimes our senior citizens, they're left out. They're at home, they're by themselves, and some of them feel like they're not wanted or cared for. And as Indian people, we were always taught to take care of our elders. And, so I feel like, a lot of these people have been brought up like that. I know I was, So it's fun, it's enjoyment, and then you get to eat.
Humbucks, huh?
Humbucks too.
Okay. When this is all over, what is it that you hope that people take with them? What kind of spirit or feeling do you think goes home with them?
I think the spirit or feeling that I see from people, there's a lot of humor, there's a lot of laughter, and there's a lot of enjoyment just to be around everybody. And, like they said, we were cheering everybody on, no matter what. They were all winners.
But been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.